Hi friends, welcome to Mod 9. This module was broken up into 3 different sections. It follows along with Chapter 8 in the book by Zaretta Hammond. This section that I'm going to be focusing on in this video is specific to the building intellective capacity piece. So up until this point, you did the reading, which was on how the brain processes. And as a culturally responsive teacher, we should be planning our instruction that moves students through those 3 stages of information processing. So you read about the input phase, the elaboration phase, and then the application phase. And so for our time today, we're going to look at these 4 macro level instructional strategies that are going to help your students move through those brain processing stages that we discovered in that first section of this module. So the book talks about 4 of these different sections. The first one is called Ignite. The second one is Chunk. The third is Chew. And the fourth is Review. So we're going to focus on the first 3, on Ignite, Chunk, and Chew. So Ignite, that phase of instruction, if you think about like kind of the choreography of a lesson plan and how you would use that modality to deliver your instruction. And the Ignite is that part of our lesson where you're cueing the brain that it's time to pay attention. So if we go back to the amygdala and the RAS activation system, that RAS system needs to be full alert and ready to pay attention, or else anything that comes out of your mouth afterwards is going to be lost because they're not going to be able, their brain's not going to be able to process and absorb it into their working memory. So how do we wake up the RAS system? And if you look at oral cultural traditions, a lot of times learning starts in these cultures with some type of attention getting activity. It could be like a drum circle, it could be some type of chanting, it could be specific music or hand clapping. So as a teacher, you want to tap into things like novelty. So like you're delivering it with like a surprise. Maybe you're wearing a costume or something that's in, correspondence to whatever you're about to deliver, or something with curiosity where there's going to be some type of puzzle or mystery that they have to solve. And you're tapping into that problem solving part of the brain. Maybe it's something that has relevance. So you're giving them like an emotionally charged story or headline or clip or something. But tapping into those pieces of the brain are going to activate that RAS system and get them ready to listen. And then if you're looking at some kind of activities, and I'm going to show you in the module that I've given you some examples that can do this. One of them would be something as simple as like a call and response. So something that's ritualistic, something that's a routine, something that they know and can expect. So you're repeating this over and over so that it becomes this ingrained system of paying attention. So you know that like elementary teachers will say like 1, 2, 3, and all the kids say all eyes on me. So that's an example of a call and response. And the teacher uses that as a way to signal, okay, it's time to learn. Another thing that you could utilize, and the book mentions, is like putting on music. And so if you're an elementary school teacher and you're shifting and changing from one routine to the next, maybe you're doing language arts in the morning and math in the afternoon, that when you start whatever that subject is, you have a specific song or a clip of song that you play. So it's language arts and we're playing this little, jingle, and then it's going to math and we're playing something else. And so that triggers the kids' brains to say, okay, I'm paying attention and I'm about to learn language arts. It talks about having like the pair, share, turn, and talk. I think I mentioned this in our first class together, but when you look at passive learning and active learning, the only way that you can take passive learning to active is by entering in a conversation. So if you deliver instruction and then you have your kids, talk about it, or even to start the process in that particular activation system, they begin by doing a pair share. Maybe it's a quote, maybe it's a piece of the reading, maybe it's, just a prompt that you're giving them, but entering in that conversation is a way to engage that particular activation system as well. So that's the Ignite. That's that. Let's get that spark going. Let's get them paying attention. And then the Chunk is the idea of taking the content, whatever it is, and breaking it down into bite-sized pieces. So we know that the working memory can only hold a specific amount of information. The book talks about this ratio of 7 plus 1, which is why phone numbers are actually only 7 numbers, because they think that that's the maximum that you can remember without writing it down. So think about these bite-sized sections of information. If you're looking at like a 40-minute period, that's what it was for me. Really about only 15 minutes of instruction is a good kind of time frame of what kids' brains can absorb, or anybody's brain can absorb. And then our brain goes through this natural mental pause button where it'll shut down so that it can take what it just learned and process through it. So if you're chunking your information into those bite-sized bits, those 15 to 20-minute increments, and then giving them that mental pause of about 5 or 10 to to interact with that material and use that time to reflect. It could be through like drawing a picture or organizing like a graphic organizer, or but you're helping them with that processing time without giving them new information. And the third one I'm going to cover is the chew. And this is, how do you help the brain process the content? And so in the module that I'm about to show you, I've given a lot of videos of different kind of strategies that fit into this chew. And you can watch as many as you want. I think I've required you to watch and interact with one, but there's probably about 5. So those are all kind of instructional activities that you can do to help that chew process. So the chew is broken down into kind of 2 things. The first is unstructured think time, and the second is cognitive routines. So Deb's going to lead you through specifics on cognitive routines, but that unstructured think time, just remember that that natural pause button is happening, and that working memory is at capacity at that point. So what are you doing in that time to reinforce what they just learned? And that's that chew. How are they chewing on that information to help with that processing? So that eventually you're hoping that it goes to that long-term memory where they can connect it back to something that they already know, that prior knowledge, that prior experience, and then it becomes true active learning. So I'm going to lead you through the expectations from my end this week by sharing my screen. Give me 1 second. Right. You're going to notice that the first part of this is just the required reading on how the brain processes. And then I have a little activity for you that talks about graphic notes and note-taking and how you can tap into iconic learning, which is a visual learning system that helps you with processing. So you're actually going to learn about the brain through a video, and then you're going to tap into that visual note-taking process that would be maybe something that you could use in your classroom. So when you click on this, you'll see that there is 2 videos. The first one is a video that teaches you the process of taking visual notes, and then being able to, it's a video from Khan Academy. Then the video on Khan Academy, the information processing model, you're going to use that system to take notes on this video. So it's basically like you're putting on your student hat and you're going to interact with this the way that you would ask your students to interact with this. All you need to do is take a picture of your visual note-taking that you took, and upload it, and then just say like a little takeaway, like reflect on that learning strategy and if it was helpful for you, if you could see this working in your classroom, and just anything you want to offer. So this is a discussion specifically with a group, so it's a smaller group, and you guys can have a conversation that kind of highlights that experience for you. And then the second part of this piece is going to be the video that you're watching right now. And then you'll notice that there is an activity that says Ignite, Chunk, Chew, and Review Strategies and Lesson Makeover. And when you click on this, there's 3 steps to this. The first is to look at this blog that I follow, and it's actually a podcast too. It's called The Cult of Pedagogy. And when you look at this, you will see that you can either read the articles or you can listen to the articles. I'm a big listener because I can multitask sometimes while I'm doing that, so I'll put my earbuds in and listen to it. But they're all different articles and things that she goes through that are all in this realm of looking at active learning and tapping into that brain processing. So this first one are specific strategies by Zaretta Hammond that I thought would be awesome for everybody. Here's something about the note-taking. These are specific learning strategies. I loved this book, Make It Stick, and this is something that highlights that book. So there's all types of things that you can interact with. You really only need to listen and pay attention to one. And then for the second step, you're going to pick one of these teaching strategies listed below, and you're going to watch the video about it. And then the third piece is you're going to create either a new lesson or modify an existing lesson that you have to tap into those 3 pieces of Ignite, Chunk, and Chew, and maybe using one of these strategies that were outlined to help support that process for your students. So that's all in terms of requirements for me, or for us, for this module 9 for those first 2 parts. But you'll notice that there's a third part that Deb is going to lead you through for the cognitive routines. All of these under here are optional. These are supporting resources for you. Some of these, this one is directly from Zaretta Hammond's resources. I think this one is actually too. And this is a really nice retrieval practice guide that taps into these strategies that I thought might be helpful for you. So that's all I got. If you have any questions, please know that I am always here to support you. You can shoot them my way and I will gladly lead you through anything I can. I hope you have a great week. And I will see you next week on our virtual in-class meetings. All right, take care.